Hi. Hi. Hello, beautiful, gorgeous creators. I hope that you have started your day with nothing short of health, wealth, peace, love, and light. As we explore healing and conscious creation together in this space, I hope that you'll remember to be kind and patient with yourself and your thoughts. So, hello, doggy. Hello. Hello. Can anyone else hear that dog? Ah. Anyway, what? I got so distracted. So the conversation this week, the conversations that I will be going over this week have one common theme, and that is money. And obviously, maybe I'll deviate from the conversation around money in terms like if there's a certain thing that needs to be covered, but it will sort of almost relate to the attraction and finding ways to attract money. And I mean, it can be a bit of a taboo conversation, depending on the culture that is in your area. So say for instance, like if you look at there are two different cultures, the more Asian, your more Asian areas are more open about having conversations around money. Whereas like in your Americas and those sort of places, more westerly, the westerly side of the world, it's a bit of a taboo conversation, or it's not something that people speak about as though they were talking about what they had this morning. So, before I get into the episode, the song recommendation. And by the way, when I recommend these songs and the artists, maybe not all of the artists, but definitely the song, no? I'll always say how beautiful the artist's music is, because I find the way in which they convey like themselves, they convey the message that they're trying to get across through a song, like very special, and that's why I enjoy that music. So with Kamau, ne? The name of the song is called Holy Spirit, and it's by Kamau, Kamau, and it's a really special song. It's about like honoring the person that you're with, like your life partner, your whatever, whoever you're with, and it's just, I don't know, it moves me, yeah. Anyway, so now back to the conversation around money. There are certain aspects of it that I will cover, but I want to start with what I believe to be the most important, and that is your relationship with money. So, we all want to attract money. We all want to have money in our lives because money does a lot of things for us. People feel a sense of freedom when they have it, because we have the freedom to do things. It opens up a lot of places and options for you, which is the thought process behind it. But I also want to challenge that way of thinking, because when you are abundant within yourself, when you are already abundant within yourself, whether you have money or not, and I'm talking about like a larger sum that you desire to attract, whether you have that big sum or not, if you feel abundant within yourself, by stepping outside, you already feel like you're enough. You already feel like the place that I'm in, the position, this moment that I'm in is already enough. It feels good. It feels whole. It feels full in the sense that it is where I'm meant to be, and I am at peace with that knowing. So that comes with the state of abundance that exists within a being. But so that's me digressing. But now going back to money, affirmations are important. Yes, affirmations are important in terms of attracting it, in terms of finding new ways to speak about it in your life, to speak it as you are connecting with it on like a personal relationship, trying to reword how you see it. So affirmations are important, and they can get you to the other side of where it feels easier to call this money in, and it just happens to, the universe just opens up to you and your affirmations in terms of bringing that money in. Now the problem becomes when you are not a vessel for it, meaning on a fundamental level, your relationship with the money at its core, which is the major thing that I want to highlight, is that the relationship, if your relationship with money, the word money in general, at its core, if there's something broken about it, if there is something that has a lack to how you think about it, how you envision it, and how your nervous system reacts to it. Because sometimes you'll find that you're at a shop. Well, this used to it happened to me once, right? And like I want to paint two pictures, highlight two incidences where my card wouldn't work when I got to a shop, right? Now, the first time this happened, I had I was quite lacking in terms of my thinking and my relationship with it. And so when I tapped and it didn't work, at first my body got very nervous, and I was like, what is happening? I didn't like, it was almost, the reaction was almost too visceral. It felt intense in my body, and it caused me and like just a wave of stress. But after having fixed my relation, and the reason why this my card didn't work is because I just needed to update it, and it was a small simple thing. But even though I knew I had it in my account, I'd already checked, having been to the shops and had my card rejected, that was an intense feeling, because on some level my relationship with money is that there was a lack in terms of how I related to it. Fast forward, after I started doing affirmations, started fixing now my relationship with money, fixing the words, fixing how I think about it, healing my nervous system around my relationship with it, the same thing happened. I wasn't actually months, it was like, I think it was 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's how long my card took to renew, which is very interesting. But what's interesting is the fact that something very similar happened when I tapped and it declined. My first reaction was, I know that there's money there. And the most important thing that I noticed in that moment is that I did not have this visceral, stressed, like intense, like it was just an overwhelming feeling around this decline. It was more calm, like I wanted to understand what was happening, because I know now how I relate to it. And so having had that decline, it was just, oh, maybe there's something wrong with my card. I didn't react in that moment. I just responded and thought to myself, okay, maybe there's a problem that I'm not seeing and that I'm not aware of, but it doesn't mean that I lack. It doesn't mean that I have less than. It doesn't define my worth, which is one of the things that I will be going over this week, that money is not attached to your worth. So now back to having a relationship and fixing your relationship with money. Yes, doing the affirmations is important, but you have to become the vessel for money. And where it begins is trying to figure out how you related with, or rather, how your parents related to, relayed rather, the conversation around money with you. So remember what I said at the beginning of the episode, depending on the culture that you're in. I've encountered South Africa now, the very wealthy and people who lack in terms of their financial prosperity. Their relationship is that it's easier to have a conversation around it. And they have a conversation around it, and it's a normal thing. There's a certain culture that allows for that conversation to be had. And in a different space, in a different area of within the same country, having conversation about it is just, it causes tension, and it causes tension between people, because there's something on a fundamental level again that has a certain level of lack. Now, this lack starts with the conversations that your parents have with you, the conversations that they have with you about money. If maybe there's something missing at home, and then you desire, or if there's something that you desire, and then they'll say money doesn't grow on trees, while you're growing up, while you're in your fundamental stages, while you have nothing in your mind except the things that you're absorbing from your surroundings. When that is happening, when they say those things that are very limited, they have limitations in them about money. When they affirm these things to you, you take them on, because you know nothing. As at those from the ages of 0 to 7, I think it was, oh man, I can't remember his name, but he's one of those like philosophers in the past. He said something about, give me a child from the ages of 0 to 7 and I'll show you the man. Now, this ties very much, it's a very closely related quote to these things that they affirm to you. You absorb them and you take them in, and they become your reality and your identity, and you don't realize how much they replay in your subconscious mind until you become aware of the things that you're doing on an individual level as you grow up. You realize that actually I've taken on the habits of, like, I've taken on this habit, but actually now I'm realizing where this habit comes from, or where this conversation, now specifically because we're having the conversation around money, where does this actually come from? And you realize there's also quotes like such as, money is the root of all evil. No. There's something fundamentally lacking about it, because if you really think about it, this is my argument now. This is just like my 2 cents on it. People can be evil, whether they're rich or they're poor. It has nothing to do with money. Money only enhances the type of person that you are, or that you want to become, so to speak. But money, being the root of all evil, creates this toxic relationship, or this unhealthy relationship, or a fear around money, or a certain level of guilt if money were to come into your hands, because deep down inside, based on the things that you heard growing up, based on these things, this conditioning that you had growing up around the conversation that had to do with money, you hold those so closely to you that you don't even realize that now, as soon as this money comes in, it almost just as quickly goes out. Even though you understand that you want to have more of it, but say for instance you are employed by someone. At a certain point of the month, yes, they offer you a salary, or they give you a salary rather, and then somehow the money that was there is no longer there. It's because on some level there's a part of you that's not an actual vessel for money. Now it starts again. Now we have to start at the relationship, understanding how we relate to money. So if you're not a vessel, are you not a vessel? You have to ask yourself these questions. Now this is the questioning stage of things. Is it because I grew up hearing certain conversations around it that makes it easy for me to just to attract in, but then to lose just as easily? Or is it that I didn't have enough knowledge around money? Was I not taught about money? Because like I said, some cultures, when you have consistent conversations around something, then you learn about it, and then you understand at its core what this thing should look like, or what this thing should feel like, or how I should manage it or maintain it in order for it to grow in my life. So if you didn't have that growing up, if you didn't have that specific conversation that says, look, this is how you make it work for you, because it's just a tool for your success. It's just, if you didn't have these conversations at your fundamental stages, or while, like, you know, even if they're not necessarily at your fundamental, at like a fundamental age. Growing up and the culture and the surroundings also are play a big factor in how you relate to it. So this episode was just like a highlight on, to attract money, you need to understand your relationship with it at its core.